Welcome to Heat B of MiniBeasts in the East, MicroBeasts. Tonight, 5 more combatants will do battle for a place in the grand final coming in a few weeks' time. Without further ado, let's take a look at who we've got. Stewie the Flipper, Krabby the Grabber, KYS Wedge, the Wedge in fact, Revron the Vertical Spinner, and Ripper Remix the Flipper. Lots of varied weaponry, 2 flippers in amongst them. This could be an interesting heat. Will they dominate, or will the others send them flipping out of the arena? A reminder of the formats for the competition: each round 2 head-to-head battles while 1 robot sits out until we have formed the pentagram of peril. At that point we'll know who is moving through to the grand final. And the points are as follows: 5 for a KO win, 4 for a JD win, 2 for a JD loss, and 1 for a KO loss. We will track them on our lovely leaderboard here. You can see it ready to go for this evening's set of fights. Let's start them then with our first battle. It's going to be Krabby the Grabber. David Harrison brings this clawsome creature into the arena. Shaky built this, it's a strength for it. Grass and electric types, look out for them. Stewie, meanwhile, Dave Weston's Flipper. This is one of the oldest bots in the biz in the antweight field. Let's see what it can do with this here crab.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Quick out the gates was Stewie. Krabby jockeying for position, trying to get round to the sides of Stewie by the looks of things. Stewie flipping mid-air, that was a strange one. Krabby got a little bit under the wedge though, managed to get back down onto their wheels. Now Stewie pushing them towards the pit. This is a tentative position and they are down. Krabby, they're not going to get the win here. Stewie does, and they get the full 5 points. Well, Krabby, they were jockeying for position, but it seemed for too long. Stewie managed to get an early flip in before everything started going Pete Tong for the poor little Pokemon. Over by the pit, and that was enough for Stewie to sense blood. Send them down. Stewie gets the win. Tonight's second fight sees the KYS Wedge, of course, standing for Keep Yourself Safe. It's 4S, which is a strength. It's also 4S, which is a weakness. Their opponent, the awesome Ripper Remix, a replica of the real-life bot. Flipper here is reliable and repairable, but Michael worries about his driving. Coming together in the middle of the arena, these 2 bots, and the KYS Wedge is not operating like a wedge. In fact, it's riding up the front wedge of Ripper Remix. They seem stuck on the sidewall. A count out is happening. Ripper Remix leaving them there, getting the points on the board, and why not? KYS Wedge, they are looking in trouble if this continues. Shaking, shivering, but to no avail. No wheels touching the ground. They're done for. Ripper Remix, they get the win. Well, that was over very quickly. The KYS Wedge prongs just did not get underneath Ripper Remix's front end. After 2 quite quick fights, here is the leaderboard. Stewie and Ripper Remix top on 5 points apiece. Krabby and the KYS Wedge on 1 point apiece. Revron sat that round out, but they are going to be joining us next in the arena, so let's get ready to meet them. Revron, the Vertical Spinner. Now, quite a unique robot, Revron. It uses scale-electric parts inside it. The Vertical Spinner is heavily iterated upon, which means it should be good, but it is so small. It is up against Krabby, who was pitted in their first fight after screaming into the night against Stewie. Can they do better here?
Here we go then. 3, 2, 1, activate.
Up to spinning speed as Krabby charges across the arena. No box rush though, I think they thought better of it. A little pop there from Revron, but still on their wheels is Krabby, who now drives across the arena. What on earth are they doing? Driving into the sidewall. They left themselves wide open there for attack from Revron, and deservedly so. That was some horrendous driving, maybe some signal issues sent across the arena. Here comes Revron, out of the arena goes Krabby. That was domination from the vert. Here you can see the replay. The writing was on the wall, but what on earth happened here? Driving straight to that sidewall, Revron had the time to position themselves. Krabby self-righted, but were then sent across the arena once again. over and out. Revron, they get the points. Our next battle sees the return of a Ripper Remix. Michael Clements' Flipper did well in their first battle. They're looking to double down here in fight number 2, but they have stiff opposition as it's a top of the table matchup against Stewie, Dave Weston's Flipper. These two robots will be jockeying for position. Let's see who gets the low ground.
3, 2, 1, activate.
I'm expecting an all-out brawl here from these two. Either that or it's going to be over very quickly. Ripper Remix in trouble early doors. Kind of suplex there by Stewie over their heads. And now coming in for a flip underneath was Ripper Remix. They managed to get underneath Stewie there, but Stewie getting the position. There comes Ripper Remix turning Stewie turtle. Can they get out of that corner? Yes, they can. It was a little bit touch and go. Too near to the pit. Ripper Remix now flipping them over near the side wall. Stewie managed to self-right back into the arena. Some great evasive action there from Dave Weston. Resetting, flipping back over and coming in for a charge now. Close to this side wall once again. Close to the pit at one point there. Ripper Remix getting underneath more often than not though. They are on top in this battle, I would say. A close flip there from Stewie, but they send themselves over. They need to watch that. Now, unlike the heavyweights, they don't have a limited CO2 supply. These are all electric flippers. But if they manage to get something a little bit wrong in the wrong place, that could be curtains for them. Again, very close to going out, but Stewie managed to get back into the arena and back into the fight. But Ripper Remix is smothering Stewie right now. I would say that Michael Clements is on top still in this fight. Stewie trying to work out what's going on. A good flip there from them. Tried for another, but they mistimed it. Now having to self-right once again under Ripper Remix again. Now is the tide turning here? It was Ripper Remix managing to get underneath more often than not. Now Stewie seems to be doing so, although saying that, Ripper Remix managed to get under again, but there goes Stewie, and again a flurry of flips. Ripper Remix in a tough position. They reverse into the pit. It's all over. Stewie gets the win. What a fight, back and forth. This was a classic here. The two flippers putting on a show, sending each other over and over again. Some mistimed flips from Stewie. They will need to watch them going forwards. There is a nasty vert in their future they will need to watch out for. But for now, Stewie gets the points on the board, managed to dominate Ripper Remix in the latter stages of this fight. There goes Michael Clements' hopes for that one. Here's the leaderboard after that battle. Stewie tops the table with a perfect 10, Ripper Remix on 6, Revron on 5, Krabby on 2, and KWS Wedge, who had that round out, on 1. Let's see what happens as we move on in the competition. Tonight's next battle sees the return of the KWS Wedge after taking a round out. They say they've tried to fix some of the issues with them getting stuck, taking off a few zip ties at the back. Let's see if it works out against Revron. This vertical spinner dominated against Krabby early doors. Can they continue that momentum? Let's find out.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Here we go. Revron up to speed, but the KWS Wedge getting underneath this time. Maybe they've done something about that. You can see the removal of the zip ties at the back, or at least the shortening of them, trying to make sure that they don't end up stuck like they did in their first fight. And at the minute, they are just getting underneath Revron every time they engage. Revron need to find an angle here. The KWS Wedge just trying to smother at the moment. They rode up the front of Revron there, but that vertical spinner did not come into play, and their spinner seems to be spinning down a little bit there. Now, we did mention at the top of the show, KWS Wedge runs 4S, and that battery is reasonably exposed under quite a thin lid. Revron could see the first big fire of the series. We will see as now they manage to get engagement, but flipping them back over, what are they doing? Revron in a tough position, they get pitted. KWS Wedge gets the KO win. Well. KWS Wedge managed just to get all over, or indeed all under Revron in this battle. Those wedges working far better than they did against Ripper Remix earlier on. They did get flipped a couple of times, but it's that second time that led them to get under Revron for the pitting. Ripper Remix is back in the box next, and they are ready to take on Krabby. These two robots reasonably even on the ground game. We shall see who managed to win it this time. The pincers apparently grow back on Krabby. This is a weird Pokemon fact.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Well, I know Ripper Remix are going to be wanting to get the points early here. After that loss against Stewie by knockout, had they taken it to the judges, they'd have been faring a little bit better than they are presently. Krabby, meanwhile, somewhere near the bottom of the table, will want a big win and managing to get under Ripper Remix here. I said they were reasonably evenly matched. Nice balletics there at the top of the arena. Jockeying for position once again and thrown against the sidewall is Krabby. Ripper Remix coming on the attack now. Krabby coming round the side, trying to get in the way, but putting themselves between the pit and Ripper Remix was always a bad position. They fall. Well, Krabby, they did alright in this one. Certainly better than their first outing, but unfortunately for them, they put themselves in a poor position. Ripper Remix managed to get underneath them a couple of times, flipping them against the sidewall. We saw the balletics, of course, but then putting themselves between Ripper and the pit was always going to end badly. Here's the leaderboard after round 3. Ripper Remix now tops the table on 11 as Stewie took that round out there on 10. Revron on 6, tied now with the KYS Wedge, and Krabby on 3 points. So far, 3 knockout losses. Revron is next up to the box, there to face off against Ripper Remix, who tops the table presently. Revron looking for points on the board here so that they can climb into contention, trying to get a place in that grand final in a few weeks' time. Ripper Remix, meanwhile, they're on a good trajectory so far, and they're looking to extend their lead.
Right, 3, 2, 1, begin.
I always worry about that servo buzzing at the start of the fight, but it seems to work out for Ripper Remix, who sends Revron very quickly down the pit. Well, a very fast dispatch. We're going to watch the entire fight here in the replay because there's not enough to replay in highlights. There they go, right under Revron, and Revron bouncing around in the pit. It's over for them. Well, that was a quick one out of nowhere. Next up, KYS Wedge returns to the box, there to face off against Stewie. Stewie had the last round out. They are looking to get points on the table as Ripper Remix has just extended their lead. They are going to need to keep climbing, otherwise they might fall out of contention for the grand final.
3, 2, 1, begin.
KYS Wedge needs some points on the table, as does Stewie, as I mentioned before, and being flipped over is not the way to go about getting them, and now they're propped up against the sidewall once again. We saw it in fight 1. Stewie very kindly retrieves them from that wall. They know that they can get this one any time. It's good aggression points in the eyes of the judges. Of course, the audience, they don't know that. They're sort of casual fans. And now KYS Wedge upside down, struggling to get anywhere with Stewie. They can't get those forks underneath. They have, however, got them stuck into the flipper mechanism momentarily there. Now flipped again by Stewie, but lanced once again on one of those forks is Stewie, and that is a tough position for both robots. Stewie in full control, but there's no guarantee that KYS Wedge would hit the bottom of the pit first if they were to drive straight down there. Of course, KYS Wedge had a wheel on the ground still there, now being flipped around by Stewie, getting free, but the KYS Wedge coming back in and managed to get all underneath Stewie here. Smother tactics working exactly as planned. We saw it earlier on with Revron. They are trying the same again here against Stewie, and it is working for them. That wedge, very good when it can get underneath, but now flipped once again, not an ideal position. Pinned up against the sidewall, we saw it earlier. Will Stewie leave them? No, rescues them again, flips them against the sidewall again. They are stuck, and I think Stewie's going to leave them. Yes, it is going to be a win for Stewie. Well, a back and forth here wasn't to be expected, really, after this first altercation. Stewie managing to get KYS Wedge propped up, but then the forks just got all kind of jammed in Stewie's flipper. Maybe that was the tactic all along, who knows? The metagaming here from Sean, I wouldn't put it past him, but there we see the lancing into that flipper mechanism, and a rogue flip there sends Stewie all out of whack. KOS Wedge managed to get all underneath, but in the end Stewie was able to get back under, flip the KOS Wedge up, and prop them up for good. The win goes to Stewie. Points on the board. Here we can see 16 for Ripper Remix, 15 for Stewie just behind. Revron on 7, joint with KOS Wedge on 7, and Krabby still down the bottom, having taken that round out on 3 points. And at this stage, that mathematically eliminates the bottom 3 robots, but we're going to have the final round of fights anyway. Revron are going to look to earn some pride back here against Stewie. They're going to hope to do so. Stewie has been on form, and they hope to go top of the table. It might come into play where they place in the brackets. We shall see. Stewie want this win bad. They want to win, and they want to top the table.
Okay, ready? Sure. Right, 3, 2, 1, begin.
Up to speed is Revron, but Stewie was quick across the box. Some fancy driving here from Revron, back and forth, jockeying for position. Stewie underneath and sends Revron out. Well, that was quick. Fancy driving only gets you so far. The gyro dance there from Revron did not save them, and once they get cornered, bouncing out of the arena, Stewie is going to get the points. Our final fight tonight then sees the 2 bottom of the table robots, Krabby and KOS Wedge, 2 of the Might crew, facing off against one another. Now, I always worry when these 2 get together in any capacity. Shenanigans are afoot, I'm sure of it. KOS Wedge, they are above Krabby at the moment. Can Krabby claw it back? See what he did there.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, do it.
Here we go then, these 2 robots jockeying for position, both getting underneath each other, the forks splaying there, but now Krabby has a good grab at long last of a robot in this arena, sending them for a tour, sending them towards the pit. Not quite the right angle that time it was. Krabby, the aggressor, and they will get the points. KOS Wedge in shambles here. Well, no shenanigans, I'm shocked. But this was an interesting fight. Krabby finally gets a win on the board, and God knows what that does to the points overall. A good push here from Krabby in full control. Sends KOS down. Here are the points then at the end of tonight's proceedings. Stewie tops the table on a perfect 20, Ripper Remix in second on 16, and then Revron, KOS Wedge and Krabby all finish on a lovely joint 8th, all jointly eliminated. It's been a fun, fast and frenetic night of action. The 2 flippers dominated. They are through to the finals. We will see you next week for more action. Until then, goodbye.